Shalom Aleichem, good week everybody, Ashvua Tov, good vach. We're now in the Pasha of Vayishlach, and those who are tuning into the worldwide telephone syndicate, Kol Haloshen, there's a little problem last week. They are messed up and they're getting much better. They're changing servers. They're going to be much wider, bigger server to hold many more thousands of callers per minute or per second. So if you're calling Kol Haloshen, which is the American number, 646-799-7900, 977-7900, it's messed up for a while. I'm down to sheer 580, but really it's 860. Now, let us start Torah anytime tonight. The second installation of Pasha Vayishlach, and I want to make an announcement. Anyone who wants to dedicate this program to any yard site, Eloi Nishmas, any coming up yard site, or for any reason you want to dedicate this program, and it's heard all worldwide. This program is heard worldwide, all over the world, and I get calls from all over the world. The people listen to the program. If you want to dedicate this program to Eloi Nishmas, a family simcha, anything, call me on my cell phone, 845-826-4789. 845-826-4789. You can dedicate this program to anybody you want. Just call me on the phone. All right, let us go to the middle of Vayishlach. Vayteitze Dino Bas Leah. So Dino Bas Leah went out. Asher Yoldo Yaakov, that she was born to Yaakov. She went out out in the fields. Leros Bevenos Ha'aretz, to see the girls of the neighborhood. Now, why do you tell me Teitze Dino Bas Leah? I mean, we know that. Asher Yoldo Yaakov, we know that. Till Leros Bevenos Ha'aretz. Vayar Osa Shchem, a prince of the area, saw her. Ben Chamor, the son of Chamor, Achivi. The Achivi, the Canaanim had many nations, Chiti, Mori, Perizi, Yevusi, Chiti, and Chivi. The Sihor, he was the prince of the land. The Yikach, so he took her. He molested her. Vayishkav, so he had relations with her. Vayaneha, he tortured her. Vatidbak nafsha Vadina, and he really loved her afterwards. Vadina, Bas Yaakov, the daughter of Yaakov, as if we don't know. Vayehavas Nara, he loved this Nara. Nara here is spelled without a hey. It's spelled like Nar, boy, but it's really Nara. Vayidaber Alev Hanara, he spoke to her heart. He seduced her verbally. So let's take a look at some of these questions. Why do you say that? First of all, what's Yaakov doing with this in this neighborhood of Shechem ben Chamor? Well, the pasuk before says he just bought a piece of land from Shechem. Doesn't it say that? Vayiken, he bought as Kelkas Hasoda, a piece of land. Asher Nota Shom Oholo, where he planted his tent. Miad b'nei Chamor, from the children of Chamor. Avi Shechem, he's the father of Shechem. But Mia Meyo Kasito for 100 coins. Vayitzav Shom Matzei Matzbeach, Yaakov set up a Mizbeach. Vayikra Lo El Elikei Yisrael. He called out to God, Lo, to him, that he made an announcement. He set up shiurim, lectures, a seminar. Vayikra Lo, he called him Hashem. He is the El, the most powerful force on earth. Elikei Yisrael. He's also the God of Yisrael. And some say, Vayikra Lo El. God called Yaakov El. Elohei Yisrael. Elohei Yisrael called Yaakov El. He was the most powerful Jew in the world. Then we get to Chamishi. Vateitzi Dino Bas Leah. So, why do we tell him this? So, Chazal tell us, Yotzonis Bas Yotzonis. She went out and she went out. The mother went out and the daughter went out. Like mother, like daughter. The seed doesn't fall far from the tree, which means Leah went out one day and she said to Yaakov, I sold some dudoim for your services to Rachel. You were supposed to be with her tonight. Now you come to me because I bartered dudoim. So she went out. She met L'Shem Shemayim, but her daughter learned a little bit like that. The Chazal say, Yotzonis bas Yotzonim, a goer-outer, the daughter of a goer-outer. Asher Yoldel Yaakov was born to Yaakov, of course. Answer is, what happened to Dinah now, an unfortunate thing, a little bit his fault, because he put Dinah in a box. So Esav shouldn't see her when he came, because she was very pretty. Now, what are we talking about? She's 6 years old. They called her a Nara. Nara's 12. How can you be 6 if you're 12? She was very advanced mentally, physically, and spiritually. She was like a 12-year-old, but she was 6 years old. We know that she was 6 years old. We know exactly how old she is. So a man wants a 6-year-old. Well, she was probably very mature. Like in ancient times, 6-year-old girls were like 15, 12. So she wanted to look at the girls. But Yara saw Shechem, and Shechem, this lowlife, saw her. Ben Chamor, the son of a, Chamor means a donkey. You can make fun of people's names if they're Rishoyim. Shechem ben Chamor, Chachivi. Now the Chazal tells us he was not a Chivi. He was an Amori. There were 7 tribes in Canaan. They're all Canaan, but they had breakaway names. Chiti, Amori, Prizi, Vagusa, Chivi, Chiti, Chivi, Chivusi. He was an Amori. So why do you call her Chivi? Because in Aramaic, Chivi means a snake. Chivio. He was tricky like a snake. He got Menagenim, musicians and singers, to go next to her window and sing beautiful songs, and she went out to see the beautiful music outside, and that's how he seduced her. And then he had relations with her. Vayishkav also normally, Vayanehel not so normally. Tidbak Nafshe, he really loved her. Bedina Bas Yaakov, because the most lowest tumah always connects to the highest kedusha. Always like that. But yeah, was a naro. He loved the naro, written without a hey, which means she acted like a naro. She shouldn't be walking around out in the field, near where all some of these goyim are walking. So it's a little bit her fault. Yedaber Lev Hanari, he seduced her. In Chumash, the word naro without a hey comes 21 times. Every one of the cases through the 5 Chumash, some girl's doing something she shouldn't be doing. She's acting like a nar rather than watching her step. Like a nara is always her case, always her fault. Except in one case, it was a married woman who was innocent, and she was truly not her fault at all. And there it's spelled with a hey. All the other 21 times it's spelled without a hey, because it's a little bit the girl's fault. The naro acted like a nar without a hey. Yomer Shechem el Chamor, so Shechem said to Chamor, Ovid, his father, Leimor, Kachli is on the Yalda, take this little girl from me, Leisha, for a wife. But Yaakov Shoma, Yaakov heard, by Nevuah, Kikime is Dina Bito, that his daughter Dina was contaminated. Ubanav Hoyu B'Mikna, and the sons, the 11 sons, were with the cattle. Basoda, out in the field. The Hechvish Yaakov Adboam, and Yaakov was quiet until they came. He didn't take any action. He was very insulted because Yaakov, when he came back from his 1.5-year trip, after spending 20 years in Aram and with Lavan, he was masakin for the people of Shechem 3 things. He set up madbeyos, he made coins so they wouldn't have to barter, they could use money. And number 2, he made he put the workers together in guilds and unions, all the goldsmiths together and the bootmakers here and here. He made guilds so they could advance their profession, and he made a Beis HaMerchatz for them, a bathhouse. So when they did this against this man, remember he's a very wealthy man, he felt personally insulted. This is how you treat a man that sets up madbeyos and markets and Beis HaMerchatz. This is how you treat a person. So he couldn't take any action. Why couldn't he take any action? Why couldn't he, Yaakov, the great benefactor, how couldn't he take any action? Why didn't he take any actions? That's the $24,000 question for this week. Why didn't Yaakov take any action? Why he was silent, couldn't do anything? Why? Look what he did for the city. He was mahana them 3 different ways. Madveyos, he coined the whole coinage system, not paper money coinages, so they could buy things they didn't have to trade. And he set up, what do you call it? He set up unions, that all the guilds, this group had their guild, their union, this guild, this group, and they had different market areas. You see men setting up marketplaces. And Beis HaMerchatz. And it says there, the Hecherish Yaakov Adbom, he was silent until the boys came home. He was powerless. Why was he powerless? Call me on this phone, anywhere in the world that you're listening. 845-826-4789. That's the bomba kasha for this week. Why was the man powerless? Chamor, so Chamor, the father, Avi Shechem, the father of Shechem, went El Yaakov to propose. Ledabri ito, to speak with him. V'nei Yaakov bom in Asoda. They came in from the field. They heard it not like the father with nevuah, but a little lesser. They had it by Ruach HaKodesh. Something is going wrong at home. They came in. At the same time, Chamor, the father of Shechem, shows up and wants to propose an arrangement with the 2 families, and their sons came in too. Chamor, Avi Shechem El Yaakov, the Daber Ito, to speak with him. Ubelei Yaakov Bom in Asoda, they came from the field. Kashmom, when they heard. Kashmom, when they heard. These Atzvu, Anoshim, they were very grieved. Ho Anoshim, these men, the oldest is maybe 13. Reuven, because Shimon and Levi were 12. Men? Isatzu ha'anoshim v'yichar lehem. They were fired up. That's what it says. They were fired up. Takif, they were full of power. First they were grieved, and then v'yichar lehem. They were ready for action. Oh, very much. A disgusting, filthy thing was done in Yisrael. To sleep with the daughter of Yaakov. This is just not done. From the time of the Mabul, 600 years earlier, the Umas Ha'olam made a pact not to be out of control in Arayos. Afila b'Umas Ha'olam Mizman HaMabul were controlled in this area. Lefichach Chayav Misahaim, because they're Chayav Misa, because it was they took upon themselves that anyone that does anything violates the laws of immorality is going to be executed. This is just not done, especially to a great benefactor. Yidaber Chamor Itom Lemor. Chamor spoke to them, saying, Shechem b'ni, my son Shechem, Choshko nafsho, his soul loves, he actually in love with your daughter. Choshko nafsho b'bitikam, your daughter. Tenu no osolo di'isha, give her to him for a wife. His chatnu, we will intermarry, osonu with us. V'no sechem, your daughters, titenu lona, you will give to us. Ves b'no seinu, and our daughters, you can take for yourself. You can live with us here. And the land is free, you can open for the taking. Shavu, you can live here. You can do business here. You can even have land rights and own land. And Shechem obviously was there with his father Chamor. He said to her father, the girl's father, to the brothers, Chaim be'enechem, I hope I find favor in your eyes, which means I hope we can get along together. V'asher tomaru olai etem, whatever you tell me, I'll give. Harbu olai ma'od mohar, make the mohar as much as you want. The mohar means the kasuva, the marriage document. Let me put in there as much as you want. Whatever you want. If I die or divorce her, you can put any amount you want there, because he was a very wealthy man. This was like the erison, the first stage of marriage. Umatan, and the dowry. That's the second part of marriage. That's the suyah. But then I'll give it. Anything you want. Kashetomru, whatever you tell Eloi to me, I'm ready to pay any price. Usni, it's a new liyas hanara, give me this girl, leisha for a wife. Vayanu b'nei Yaakov eschem b'schamor aviv b'mirmo. They b'nei Yaakov, not the father, the b'nei Yaakov and Shechem, they answered Shechem and the father. Remember, the father and sons are accessory in the crime. They didn't tell yet to the brothers that not. You think, well, I want your daughter, man. They didn't say. These two men didn't say that he already was ma'anis, the girl, a thing you can never fix as long as you live. He ma'anis her. That they didn't say, but the father knew about Levuah, and the boys knew about Ruach HaKodesh. When you don't play ball straight, then the other team can cheat too. You didn't say to that family that you had violated that girl and ruined her for life. So the brothers also answer with trickery, because when you deal with the tricker, you deal in trickery. And plus Hashem says that. And if you deal with me straight, I'm straight. If you go with crookedness, I'm crooked with you. Didn't Yaakov say that to Rachel when he met her when she was 5 years old? She said, I would like to marry you. He said, but my father is Ramoy, a deceiver. He says, Ach ani baramos, I know the tricks too. And 20 years later, he tricked him. He left without telling the father-in-law, the Zaidi of the Jewish people, that he left. His wives, handwives, children, the hundreds of employees, thousands and hundreds of thousands of sheep, he just left. So if you want to play the game, I know how to play it also. Yanu b'nei Yaakov, and the b'nei Yaakov answered that Shechem v'schamor aviv b'mirmo, with chokhmah. Because you're withholding information from me, I'm going to withhold our intentions from you. B'mirmo means with wisdom. V'yidaberu, and they spoke to the man Asher Timei. He has contaminated Dino. They didn't say that, but they know that. Achosam, their sister. Vayomer lehem lo nuchal asos hadavar zeh. They speak from a point of strength. We can't do this. That says, as a chosein to give our sister, the ish asher lo arlo, that has an arlo, you're not circumcised. Kicher pehulana, that's disgraceful for us. Ach was those nails, but there's one way you can be accepted by us. Imtia kamoni, to be like us. The imo lechem kol zochar, every single male must be mao. V'nosnu es b'noseinu lochem, we'll give our daughters to you. Not like you said, you're going to take our daughters first. No, we are going to give them to you, because you see, when the buyer and seller discuss things, the buyer doesn't make the condition. The person who has the merchandise makes the condition. We will give it to you, well, we decide which daughters, and then you can pick from us. It's not like they said. Your daughters, nikach lanu, we'll take. We'll give you our daughters, and then we'll take from you. We'll live with you together. We'll be one nation. If you don't listen to us, lehimol, to be circumcised, lakachnas beitenu, we're going to take our daughter. Well, we're going to go. Why do you say beitenu? It's achoseinu, their sister. Beitenu means our daughter. This is a lesson for all Jewish women, daughters, women, ever molested by goyim. If we have the chance, we'll get even. But they didn't say that. That's built into the Torah pasuk. Vayitvu divrayim ve'eni chamor, and the idea was accepted by Chamor. Ve'eni Shechem, his son Ben Chamor. Lo icha hanar lasos hadover, and the young lad who owned this whole area he didn't delay at doing this thing. He loved Bas Yaakov. This Chamor's son, Shechem, was very honored, Mikol Beis Ovid, from his whole family's house. Chamor and Shechem, his son, came to the gate of the city where all the people meet at the central meeting house at the gate. They spoke to the people of the town, saying, these men, these Hebrews, they're very sincere people. They're very sincere. He taught it with us. And Chazal say they're a little bit naive because they don't know what we did. So they made a deal with us, because if a normal person would hear this, he'd kill you on the spot. But they are very sincere people, very naive. They don't know yet what went on. Meanwhile, they do know. Shleimim heim Yitorah v'yeshvu oretz. They'll live in our land. V'yisachru also, they'll do business here. And the land is very wide. There can plenty room for them to spread out. As v'nosam nikach lanu, that they switched it around to sell this idea to the people in town, but that's not what the brothers said. They said, we will give you our daughters. They said, v'nosam, their daughters, nikach, we will take, as if they had first choice. Lanu, they're noshim for wives. And then v'noseinu, and then our daughters, nitan, will give to them. That's not the way it was. For they said, we will give you our daughters, and then we will take your daughters. Because remember, the seller sets the condition, not the buyer. So, but only one thing, one string is attached here. One thing they will be acceptable to us. To live with us. To be one nation. What is that? Every male has to be mal. Like their mal. Miknehem, their cattle, they have a lot of it. Zikinyanim and all their possessions, they're very wealthy people. Mechal behemtem, all their animals. Hello, lo nuheim, we're going to take them. It says by Geneva. Ach ne'oso lehem, but we have to consent to them. V'yesh v'yitonu, they'll live with us. V'yishmu el Chamor, and they listen to Chamor. V'el Shechem benod, and Shechem the son. Kol Yosef Ishar, anyone who came in through the gates, everyone has to go through the gates. The people work out in the field, the locals. Hero of the town, Vayimolu Kol Zocha, they circumcised themselves. Kol Yosef Ishar, all the people that go through the gates. Well, you just told me that a minute ago. That was the locals. This Yosef Ishar is the visitors. Hero in the town. But he it wasn't on the third day. V'yosam Koabim, when they're all sick. On the third day, you're the weakest. That's why Hashem came to Avram in the third day after he had a bris. Because Bikur Cholim on the third day is the biggest favor, because it hurts the most when it's healing. Bikur Cholim is a big mitzvah when a person is suffering. And like Nicham Avelim, when a person is suffering. Some say the third day is the worst. They came to them on the third day. Yikul Shnei B'nei Yaakov. And they took the two sons of Yaakov, Shimon and Levi. Why do you have to repeat that? We know who they are. Shnei B'nei Yaakov is one thing. Shnei B'nei Yaakov. They shouldn't have done this. Oh, they should have done this, but not the way they did it. Shnei B'nei Yaakov is one thing. Shimon and Levi is something else. Shimon and Levi is independent people. B'nei Yaakov, they should have asked permission from the father, advice from the father. They didn't do that. As you notice, they said the two B'nei Yaakov, the two B'nai children Yaakov just answered. They wouldn't answer before the father. Yaakov was not there. They made a meeting when Yaakov wasn't there. But they said the two B'nai Yaakov, when the father wasn't there, they answered. You don't answer before your father. Obviously, they had an arrangement that Yaakov didn't know about. They answered them, so sure, with the Mila and all that stuff. So they answered on their own without Yaakov's consent. Yeah.
Were they Kanoim?
Yeah. They were Kanoim.
So why when Pinchas was a Kanoi, we give him credit, we shake his hand?
Yeah, Pinchas came to Moshe Rabbeinu. He says, "Look what's going on, what Zimri is doing." So he didn't come to Moshe for a psak. He said, "Look what's going on." He says, "You read the letter. Why don't you deliver it? You were at Sinai. You know the halacha. Do what you want." Now, you could have come out as a murderer or as a tzaddik. I did the right thing, Pinchas. All the Kohanim in the world come from Pinchas. So, very good question, but he asked Moshe Rabbeinu, they didn't ask Yaakov. So on the third day they took Shnei B'nai Yaakov, Shimon and Levi, Achei Dina, the brothers, the sister, the brothers of Dina, each, every man, 12 years old. They were in the 13th year, because if you're 12 years, in the next minute you're in the 13th year. When you're 1 year old, you're in the second year. Bar mitzvah boy is 13, that means he's in the 14th year. When you're 1 year old, you're in the second year. When you're 50 years old, you're in the 51st year. It means that's how many years you finished. So they finished 12, so they were like in the 13th year, so you can call them already Ish. Ish, my father brings in the Sefer, Mind Based Sheva, when you feel a responsibility to do something, you become a great person. When you feel the achrayus is on you and no one else is doing anything, and you accept the responsibility, you become a gever. You feel responsible. Once you feel responsible, you're a different man. You're not a child anymore. You feel that you have to take care of business. So it says, these 12-year-old boys, Shimon Levi, Ish, Ish, every man, Charbo, his sword, Vayovo El Ha'ir, and they came to the town, Betach, secretly. Gemara said it was not secretly. They came with buckets of water and soap and stuff. They say, oh, you're so sick, can we wash you? They all were laid out, all of them, hundreds, thousands, I don't know how many were, laid out, and they said, we'll wash you. Because on the third day you have the most pain, you can't even wash yourself. And while they were there, they took out their swords and cut their heads off. So what's Betach? It wasn't secretly. So Chazal tell us they were betochen. They were convinced that Yaakov would approve. And that's finished the pasuk. They came Betach. The Yehargo called Zohar. They killed every single male. Ve'es Chamor, ve'es Shem Beno, Hargu Lefi Charv, they sliced their head, they killed them. Ve'yikchu es Dina, they took Dina, by force, she didn't want to leave, she was charmed by this guy, and they were forced. Dina, and they went. Then they came back over the cadavers. They looted the town. Asher Timu as Chosov, they had contaminated their sister. Timu, Tome, contaminate, same word. Yes, what's your question? Okay. As Sonam, as sheep and goats. As Bukaram, the cattle. As Chamorim, the donkeys. As Asher Be'ir, everything in town. As Asher Basoda, everything in the field. Lokacha they took. They cleaned the place out. As Kol Chelam, all their money, the silver and the gold. As Kol Tapam, all the babies. As Nesheim, the women. Shavu, they captured. Vayavozu, and they ransacked the place. Ve'ez Kol Asher B'Bayis, everything in the house. Food, clothes, everything. Vayom Yaakov el Shimon Levi. Yaakov said to Shimon Levi, Yichartim, you troubled me. Rashi said, like clear water, you stir it up, it's all troubled, and eventually it settles down and the water's clear again. I'm not so sure what you did was right. Lahavi Sheni, to make me hated, disgusting. The Yosef is amongst the people around this area. The Kanani, Prizi, the powerful Goyim. I am a people, very few. Mispar is few. Mesay people. We're just few. Look how we are just 11 people, and me is 12 and 4 women, and a bunch of workers here. We're just few people. Maybe they're going to gang up on me. He coon me and smite me. I'll be obliterated. I'll kneel basing me and my family. There's no future Klal Yisrael. V'yomru, they said to him 4 words, and that's where the conversation ended. V'yomru, hakazona, like a gezona, yasas achusenu, astonished, our sister should be. That's the end of the subject. Which means it's like we have in Gemara Teku, we're stuck. He said, I don't like what you did. They said, well, we should let my sister be a zona. No. And it ends right there. They were never punished by Hashem. Never cursed by Hashem. And when Yaakov punished them when he died, in Parashat Vayichi, he just says, Arur Apam. Their anger is cursed. They shouldn't do it that way, but they did the right thing. Which means they're accessories to a crime. All of them, because they agreed to have a bris milah. And the father and son are the criminals. The son is the criminal. The father agrees. Didn't tell that the boys and the father that the girl's already ruined. Been anes. and the people went along with it. They all Chaim Misa because since the time of the Mabul, 600 years earlier, they had made to decide no more of this free relations and the Chaim Misa. That's not what Yaakov was angry about. Why did you tell them with the bris, with the diz? You don't become a Jew by a bris. Many people can have a bris. That doesn't make you Jewish. That's a technicality. It's Kabbalah's own mitzvahs. Then you go to the mikvah. Woman also has to have Kabbalah's own mitzvahs. She goes in the mikvah. And having a bris is a technicality. If a person is born and his brother died in a bris, and the second brother died, the third one doesn't need a bris, he's still the third brother, is 100% yid. But that doesn't make you a yid or not. So he said to them, what's this trick with the bris? Tell them, give us our daughter back, or we're coming together. Straight out. I don't like the method, he said. And when Yaakov cursed them, he didn't say Yachshim and Levi are cursed, or Apam. They have to work on that one characteristic. It's like when Reuven messed up the beds of his father. It was a mistake. Anyone who says that Reuven did a chet of arayos, making a mistake, he did nothing, he just messed up the bed, and it looked like someone was sleeping in the bed. To show his father, he protests at the disgrace of his mother, because if Rachel was the one he slept with mostly, and Rachel died, and he put his bed into Bilhah's tent, and Reuven felt insulted. Why did he go to my mother? If my mother's co-wife is secondary, my mother's co-wife's shivcha is better than the real, this older sister. That's why Reuven was insulted, and he messed up the bed. And anyone who says that Reuven did anything immoral, that he's making a mistake. You know why? The brothers wiped out a city because they were ma'anis the sister. Do you think they would let a brother live who were ma'anis the father's wife? He would die in a minute. So therefore, Reuven did nothing, zero. He did something, a lack of derech eretz, and of course, because of that, he lost three things: the Kahuna, the Malchus, and the Pishnayim. But he did tshuva the rest of his life, Reuven. He was a very fine person. He made a mistake. Yeah.
I have a hard time understanding how the holy sons of Yaakov make mistakes like this. This should be a perfect family where they would always ask Yaakov how to do things. This should be the epitome of perfect, yet we see clear mistakes like Or Apam, where Yaakov curses their anger, etc. Do we have any way to explain how such a wonderful family with such beautiful sons can try to kill Yosef? Ask your father what to do. If you have, what could be better than asking one of the others?
This kasha demonstrates the individuality of the shiftei kol. Until this day, we all have these strong opinions. Look at the Gemara. Everything you say, the other one says no. We have individual person, and the Yud Beit Shiftei Yisrael were the highest people in the world, and they had this strong feeling. They thought they were right. Every time you make a rash action without asking your mentor, you're wrong. They made mistakes. They wanted to kill their brother. They thought Avram had a rotten son, Yitzchak had a rotten son, Yaakov had a rotten son. Talk Lashon Hara, Chaim Misa. They made a mistake. Yosef was superior than them, but they didn't know that. Like Rabbi Yonah thought the Rambam was an apikoros. Then he realized he made a mistake and he wrote his life a sefer called Rabbeinu Yonah, Shari Tshuva. Spent the rest of his life doing Tshuva. He says from Moshe Rabbeinu to Moshe Ben Maimon, there was no Moshe equal to these two people. He made a tremendous mistake. People make mistakes, especially people that are so convinced in one derech. And the brothers made a mistake and they paid for it. And because Yidden are very opinionated. And here, Shimon, Levi, Achim, they saw their sister was contaminated. They will not tolerate this. And why Yaakov didn't do something in the beginning to forestall this, why, and that was the $24,000 question for him tonight, called the Bomba Kasha, Yecharash Yaakov, he didn't do a thing till the boys came in from the field. Why didn't he take action, Yaakov? Yaakov, he's not a weakling. That was the $64,000 question of tonight. Why did, after this happened, he knew about the Vua. He said, can't do nothing till the boys come. And they took action, and he was not so much against. He said, I don't like the method, with the bris milah, with the tricks, I don't like that. But meanwhile, the Ochai Misa, 100% right. the Chaim Nisan. Why didn't he take any action? 845-826-4789 from any place in the world. Call me and give me that answer. I got a call tonight from Manchester, England about something. I got a call this week from California, someplace in Cleveland, about some of these questions. These are intriguing questions. That's why I'm asking you. That's what I would ask myself. So that is the story of the 12 sons. Now it says that he said, I'm afraid people, they're going to attack me. After he met his father and everything, 7 years later, there thousands of soldiers came to attack Yaakov because the two sons wiped out a city. They were petrified for the first few years. 7 years later, the Battle of Gash, Gimel Ayin Shin. 7 years later, Yaakov slew Laban, who was the general of these thousands of people who came from Gash, the Battle of Gash, 7 years later, because they wanted to wipe out Shimon Levi and the whole family of Yaakov because what Shimon Levi did to Shechem. Now, where do you find this? You find this in Ma'am Loes. He was the leader of Laban. So it comes out that Yaakov killed the Zaidi of Klal Yisrael, because Laban is his uncle and father-in-law, and the Zaidi of Klal Yisrael, right? Abraham slew the man that threw him into the Kibshan Aish. Years later, when he had to fight off the 4 kings, one of them was called Amrophel. Well, Amrophel is Nimrod, and that's the one that threw him into the Kibshan Aish. He killed him. Moshe Rabbeinu had people oppose him. He had him slain in the Midbar. Zimri did this terrible thing with that woman, Cosby, in front of Moshe Rabbeinu, with that woman. So Pinchas said to Moshe, how are you going to tolerate this? He says, you know what to do, take care of business. Sliced him up in bits. Pinchas sliced up Zimri. There's a man who was B'chal Shabbos the first week out in the desert, the first week, maybe the second week. The first week maybe? No, the second week. Because the first week they were in Mara, they got some dinner. And he says, I'm going to collect wood to show people how severe Shabbos is. I want to give my life to show Shabbos is so severe. One of the Lamites Malachos is cutting, harvesting, or binding up wood and making it into bundles. And they had him arrested. Moshe said, what's the halacha? Maybe it's Misa, but not the worst one, not stoning, because he meant L'Shem Shemayim. He wanted to give his life to prove how severe Shabbos is. Hashem said to Moshe, stone him, skila. You don't have to have anybody help me to teach Torah. So he got the guy, Moshe took care of this person. So his name was Solovcha, the father of the 5 girls. He was the Kashim Kosher's Eitzim. And then the Zimri, and then came the Megadef, the blasphemer of God's name. Moshe had him slain. What does this mean? Yaakov slew his father-in-law, and Avram slew Nimrod. Moshe slew these people. David HaMelech took care of a lot of people. Shlomo HaMelech got rid of Adoniyahu, and his half brother and sister Tamar and Amnon and Tamar. He got rid of Amnon, who was Ma'anis Tamar. He didn't do it. He got his hitman, Ben Yehoyada, to do it. Anyhow, so which means don't fool around with tzaddikim, insult them, because you lose in the long run. This is the story of this thing. Now, one more pasuk and then we'll finish. Vayomer Elokim El Yaakov. Get away from this area. Kum, get up. Alei Beisel, go to Beisel. Remember, he hasn't met his father yet. He's on the road 1.5 years. And he left when he was 98. Now he's 99.5. He's going to come and see his father sooner or later. Then he's going to get there. Vayomer Elohim El Yaakov Kum Alei Beisel. V'shev Sham, live up there. Vasei Sham Mizbeach, make an altar. Le'el, to the God. Hanir Elecha, that appeared to you, which means to me, because Hashem is speaking to him. When you ran away from Esav, your brother, years ago, 20 years ago, Yom Yaakov El Beiso, he said, El Kol Hashim, everybody with him, Hasira Lehei Hanecha, take away these gods. Gods? Idols? His family? Asher B'sochacham, that you have, of course, because they made a condition with Shechem that will have, the Torah tells us one condition, but there was 2. One is you have to have bris milah, number 2, you can't do a avodah zorah. They only kept one, a bris milah. But the avodah zorah they had, to prove it, they showed it. They kept me, when anybody would come from the country, from the people around to say, why'd you kill the city? Well, we had conditions to intermarry. One was about the Zorah. Look at these little idols we picked up over there. They didn't keep the second condition. That's why we killed them. They lied to us. Take away this, hey, neichor, ashir v'sochem, that you have, v'yitaru, and go in a mikveh, change your garments, because you're wearing those people's garments, and these people are over there about the Zorah. With Akumim and Ala Beis El, let's go back to Beis El. The Esther Shom is Bech El, now I'll make him his Bech to God, Ha'on Osi B'Yom Sorrow, Rossi, who always answers me in the day of my sorrow. He was always with me, but there on the way Asher Halachti, wherever I would go, God helps me. Yitu Yaakov is called okay as Nechor. They gave to Yaakov all the gods, the strange gods, the idols. Asher B'Yodim, that's in their hand. It means their possession. There's Hanezomim, the Nezem. Could be a nose ring that goes through here, or an earring. Both of them are circles with a pin on the end. Nezem could be on the nose, or could be ba'ozneihem in their ears, because the finger ring is called the tabas. Yitzman son Yaakov Takal, he buried them Takas ha'ela under the oak tree. Asher im Shechem, which was next to Shechem. Yisrael, and they traveled on. All right. The people were afraid, they said, petrified of them. It took 7 years for them to get courage to attack Yaakov, and Yaakov was already 7 years later. It was 107, maybe 106, and he slew Lavan, his father-in-law, the deity of the Jewish people, because he came with all those hundreds, I don't know, thousands or hundreds of soldiers. He slew them, he killed them. We told you about it. Ma'am Noah says in the Battle of Gas, Gimel Ayin Shin. Look up in Tanakh, you'll see where it is. Okay, they didn't run after Bnei Yaakov the first few years, and they built the Mizbeach there, and Beis El. You know, I was in Beis El a few weeks ago. I was in Eretz Yisrael, and I left after Sukkot, and the tour guy took me to the town where he lives, Beis El, and he showed me exactly where Yaakov was sleeping, right on the ground. I took it with this camera. I wish I could show you the picture where Yaakov, a certain place he was sleeping. That's where he had the dream with the ladder. In Beis El. They know, these tour guides know where these places are, because every single place that was important to Jews, the Crusaders built a little fortress there to show that the true God is our God, not their God, not the Jewish God. And every single place the Crusaders built a fortress, that's how you know it was a Jewish place. And there's a little brick fortress there. If you know Eretz Yisrael, you're going with the proper tour guides and know what they're talking about. Wherever there is an important place, there's a Crusaders build a fortress. That's how you know there was an important place there. All right, Rabbi side, that's the end of our shir for tonight. And if you want to dedicate this shir, anybody to dedicate it for Eloi Nishma's Yard site coming up, or a Simcha or anything, call me on my cell 826-4789, 845 area, 826-4789, and also the Bamba Kasha. Remember. Why didn't Yaakov take any action? Why was he helpless? Have a good week.